confused that, okay, this situation, as it is, warrants a heart transplant just for him to survive. So they had to contact another hospital. Severally, they did this, but they could not get any heart to use for the transplant. And they even said that even if they had, that people are already on the queue, that it may be difficult to get us one urgently, even though we have that precarious situation in our hand.
We are the family God has shown mercy to. My name is Lola, and this is my husband. His name is David.
It all happened on the 22nd of October. Our son was very sick, and my wife took him to the accident and emergency ward in the hospital. Well, they attended to him over the night because it was a precarious case. But then, in the middle of the night, they realized that his condition was getting not quite encouraging at all, because they told my wife that the oxygen level has dropped drastically. She met with the consulting team, the consultant and the nurse and those who are in charge. They told her that the situation is not good, that they have to take the ambulance and take him with the fastest means to an hospital that can take care of children, one of the best children hospital in Dublin. And they took off. They left, they got to Dublin. At the time they get to Dublin, immediately they took our son into the hospital and he was admitted to the ICU. And immediately they saw his condition from few tests. They had to put him on life support machine. And he was there. So while on life support machine, they conducted series of tests because they have enough machines and facilities to take care of children's ailments. So they found out that the BBM has increased up to 7,000. The oxygen has dropped
Below 50?
below 50. The temperature was also high. The blood pressure too has increased. So they got confused that, okay, this situation, as it is, warrants a heart transplant just for him to survive. So they had to contact another hospital. Severally, they did this, but they could not get any heart to use for the transplant. And they even said that even if they had, that people are already on the queue, that it may be difficult to get us one urgently, even though we have that precarious situation in our hand. So at that time, the consultant, the nurses, they got confused, not knowing what to do. My wife now said yes.
I said, what cannot do anything? They said we have critical situation on ground now, that this is a serious moment now. And I told them I'm very serious as well, because I know what God cannot do does not exist.
And since this discussion had been centered on heart transplant, and none was coming, my wife now volunteered that she's going to donate her own heart. But the consultant and the nurses, they were deeply touched. They felt if you donate your heart for our son to survive, that who is going to take care of the son? So at that level, because my wife came with the mantle when she came home to pick some items earlier before they left for the bigger hospital.
And I and my sister-in-law, Auntie Moni, thank you so much. God bless you. We went to the ICU and we started praying, and Auntie Moni, God bless you as well. We put the mantle on my son's head. We started praying for what God cannot do does not exist. When the mantle fall off his head, the nurse will put the mantle back on his head, because they were surprised what God did. Just the following morning, his BPM dropped from 7,000 to 1,400.
God is great. God is great. What God cannot do does not exist. The senior nurse met my wife. That was the second day when all these miracles were taking place. She came, she met my wife. She said, Lola, keep on praying. Your faith is really working.
Even 5 days, he was out of the ICU.
Out of the ICU.
They transferred him to Children's Heart Center within 5 days.
Yes. It's all because the oxygen that was below 50 earlier picked
to
up
92%.
to 92%.
They have to disconnect him from life support machine.
That's how he got out of the life support machine. And that's how they discharged him from the ICU, and he was discharged. And as at last week that we took him to the hospital for just the routine check as usual.
They asked us to bring him.
They asked us to bring him. An appointment, we got there. And then they were doing the echo. Then my wife was asking the medical personnel doing it that the fluid that gathered earlier in his heart, that can they see the fluid, whether it's coming down or whatever. But her answer was that she could not see any trace of the fluid again
in his heart.
That the fluid has dried up. So his heart is completely free because the fluid that was disturbing the heart has already dried up. That was the result of the echo. And when the ECG personnel too came in, when they did their own check on him, they said everything is good. And we could see the hand of God, the hand of the God of Pastor Jerry Eze, all doing this, which necessitated this testimony. What God cannot do does not exist. We give all glory to God.
Indeed, what God cannot do does not exist. Thank you, Pastor Jerry Eze.
Thank you,
God
Pastor
bless
Jerry Eze.
you. The anointing of God upon your life will never run dry.
God of Pastor Jerry Eze.
God bless you.
What God cannot do does not exist.
Bye.